Welcome to the Ask Ezra Intimacy Coaching Podcast, a peek behind the curtain of some of the most intimate conversations that people have with Ezra as an intimacy coach. Join us for a session already in progress.
I think that a lot of people are just lacking the communication skills in the first place, and that's the source of a lot of challenges, is that they're just not communicating properly.
What are some of the ways that you've observed that they're not communicating properly?
Yeah, so instead of saying like, I'm not getting my needs met, or, I think it's really challenging and frustrating for me when I'm not able to get this particular need met, they're just like, you're wrong. How come you're like this? Right? And so instead of owning their own issues, their own challenges, they sort of make it about the other person and sort of like claim there's some kind of inadequacy going on. I mean, there's always inadequacies, between people because we're different people, right? But if you can't own it.
Yeah, I've always found that interesting because I kind of go through the same internal monologue where if someone is too afraid to vocalize their needs or whatever, I think that they think they're being too selfish, and selfishness is seen as a human shortcoming. And I like totally understand that, but it's so hard to tell yourself that me saying what I want is not an act of selfishness. It's just an act of kindness.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how to walk people through that.
It's like, challenging.
It's so personal.
Yeah, I think the way to think about that issue is that, this is your partner. Your partner wants to know what you need. And if they don't want to know what you need, do you really want them as a partner? Right? And so people will be people pleasing and hide their feelings and hide their needs and wants in an attempt to accommodate their partner, but really what they're just doing is accommodating the dysfunction because it's easier than facing it.
Right. Yeah. It's complacency. Right? They're not willing to. Okay, maybe that's reductive of me to say they don't want to, but rather there's some sort of block that's like keeping them from wanting to be honest with themselves and with their partner.
Well, I think
I totally understand.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's an issue of want, but it's an issue of an imagination of the ability to do so. Right? If they can't imagine communicating, they're not going to try because how would you do that? Right?
They've created a situation in their heads.
Yeah, they've created a situation there's no way out of. And then they feel trapped. But it's easier to feel trapped than it is to face the challenge.
Yeah, and I understand because there are times when I still feel like that, like when I'm being left on red. That's like, I feel like everyone can relate to this.
When you're left someone doesn't message back.
Yeah, when you're left on red and it takes them like maybe a day or two to respond, and it's like, well, the moment's passed. What do you want me to do with this information now? But more of like, it's this deep human desire to the question, am I being heard? Am I being seen? So when you're left on red, it's more of like, did you get me? Did you understand me?
It's not a conversation when somebody doesn't get back to you. And I think communicating what expectations are in terms of response time is one way to address that.
Yeah, I also think that, like, I get that people are busy and we have lives and everything, but also it may not be so unreasonable to say, hey, you think you could respond to me within the same day at the very least?
Well, I mean, when you have that conversation early on and say, hey, look, if we're texting and I text you, then I would like you to respond within the day. and
Yeah.
if you can't do
Like,
that, then maybe we shouldn't text, or maybe I can readjust my expectations of texting with you.
yeah. That's another thing because it's like, what if the other party, the one receiving your messages, they start to forget or something, and then um, is it up to us to self-regulate our own emotions when we're feeling that discomfort, or do we have to make it known again that like, hey, I thought we agreed on this, or is that the same thing, self-regulation and communicating
It's certainly not
and
the same
reminding?
thing. Yeah, there's
It's not.
two different activities. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a balance. It's a balance of the two, because if you are consistently making your needs known and they're not able or willing to meet your needs or remember your needs,
Mm-hmm.
then, that's kind of communicating that they're not going to be there for you that way. Right? And in that
Mm-hmm.
case, you're not going to get anything out of them. Like we talked about ghosting before, right? And how frustrating it
Mm-hmm.
was to get ghosted. But if somebody ghosts you, they're not going to
Mm-hmm.
get back to you, right? So at
Yeah.
that point, it
Yeah.
is absolutely your job to deal with that. And I would say,
Mm-hmm.
furthermore, as an adult, you are responsible for your feelings. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, and so it is self-regulation first, for sure. And
Right.
then
Yeah.
maybe trying to make sure that everyone's expectations are on the same page.
Mm-hmm. The self-regulation part, I think, is a very difficult one because what does that even look like? Where do I start as someone who's never self-regulated before, or at least like gone to therapy? Where does a new self-regulator begin
Yeah.
on
Well,
their journey? Like, do they just
yeah.
sit with it, just be sad?
Yeah, sipping, like, you could think about it like consuming your emotions. Like not like swallowing them to like bury them, but like sipping on them. Like taking, like intentionally taking in that emotional experience,
Mm,
right?
mm, mm,
Whereas usually there's this feeling of aversion where you're like, "Oh no, I'm sad. Better go check my social media, better grab a drink, better have a smoke, whatever," right? To like hide from it. Instead, you say, "Oh, well, looks like it's time to be sad now. And let me feel what this sadness feels like." And actively
mm.
experiencing your emotions is the first step to self-regulation.
Yeah. Or like, what is this sadness telling me?
Yeah.
What does this
Does this
sadness
sadness have a
need?
message? Yeah.
Yeah. What does the sadness need from me right now?
Well,
Or
and I
yeah.
think what's really interesting is sometimes when we come from a place of wanting to push feelings away, we switch to holding on to them, right? So,
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't think of it that way.
yeah.
Hmm.
And so that's equally unhelpful. So instead, what we want to do is we want to let them come and go as they please, right?
That's true.
I like
Yeah.
to think
Because
about experiencing your emotions like bird watching, right? You don't shoo the birds away if you don't like them, and you don't grab the bird and hold it in front of the camera lens either, right? You
yeah.
gotta kind of let them go and do their thing. Otherwise, you're not really bird watching. You're just an asshole.
You're just like, here, look at it.
Yeah, yeah. There's this picture of a guy who's like got a bird by the fist, and they're like, "How guys take dick pics," which is hilarious.
I
But
mean, it's not wrong. No, I understand that, but I've never thought of it that way. That the irony of like wanting to distance yourself from an emotion is actually kind of doing the exact opposite. You're
mm,
kind of just like holding on to it a little stronger.
yeah, it's
Mm.
engaging it in an
Yeah.
active way. So pushing and pulling, right?
Yeah, you're feeding the flames. Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm.
One Buddhist writer, whose name escapes me, was talking about treating them like house guests. So like make tea for your sadness, welcome your sadness into your home,
Mm. Mm.
be a good house guest to your feelings.
I also think that like the way we interact and relate to our emotions very much tells how we relate and interact with people. It's it's very that was a very revealing thing to me when I discovered that in therapy, that like I am when I am uncomfortable and I am um like sad or angry or whatever, I go to my vices. I like try to
Distract
um
yourself.
distract myself. I try to find ways to sate those like urges without actually engaging with the emotion. So, for example, when I get sad, I will play video games, I will drink, I'll smoke, um, and wait for the sadness to go away. And for a long time, I noticed that when my friends were getting sad, I was engaging in toxic positivity where I would be
Mm.
like, it's you're gonna be okay. It's totally fine. Here, have another slice of pizza. You're gonna be okay.
Hmm.
And it's like we're not actually taking care of the problem head on.
Yeah,
We're
you're
kind of
just
just,
covering it up.
yeah, like there's a big open wound, and all we're doing is putting a little tiny band-aid on it rather than working to stitch it back up. And that was that was just really revealing that like if I'm being passive with my emotions, I'm actually being passive with uncomfortable emotions in other people.
Hmm.
And yeah. And the way I would be passive is by taking care of them. It's like, here, uh let me distract you from these things. Let
Yeah,
me
well,
take care of you,
I
but
think
like the
it's,
most
I th-
unhelpful way.
yeah, I think I wouldn't even call that passive. I would say that's you're actively seeking to distract that person from their
Yeah,
feelings,
yeah,
right?
that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So the alternative to that is holding space,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
So holding space means not asking somebody to move on from their emotion in your timeline. Just sort of say, hey, I'm here for you. If you need to cry, I'm here, right? All the time you need to cry. It's like giving people permission to have feelings. Not that they necessarily need them from you, but it's helpful to hear it as well to say,
Yeah.
hey, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And
So
just letting
validating to
them,
hear that, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, letting them have those feelings,
Yeah.
like, you know, Tim, if you were going to cry on my show, then I would want to make space. I would want to say it's okay. We don't need to move on really quickly. Maybe I need to edit out some of the empty space, but
The
to try to be a friend to you, I'm not gonna rush you and say, okay, we've done the crying. Now it's time to button up and let's move on.
yeah,
Right? That's not making space. You
yeah.
know?
It's also, I think, very important that before we hold space, we need to check in with ourselves. Like, am I capable of holding space
Yeah.
for another person?
Respect your own
Am
boundaries.
I?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, uh, am I in a place that I can actually take on the emotional burden. I can't find a better word, but the emotional
Sure.
luggage
Yeah.
that another person is carrying before I have my own.
Can
It's
you set yourself aside for a moment? Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's hard
Yeah.
because it's like, so many things happen at the same time. Like, what if I'm going through something negative too? Where's the person that's going to hold space for me? Or,
Yeah, they
I
might be
can't hold
sitting
space
there
for me.
with you, but
Oh
it's
yeah,
not the time, right? That if they're
yeah,
having a hard time, then you need to set yourself aside and make space for them while they're having a hard time, and then they can maybe
yeah,
make space for you after.
yeah. That's hard.
Yeah, it is
Why
hard
do emotions have to be so difficult?
because you're not practiced, Tim. You've been
I know.
hiding
I
from
know.
them.
I mean, I really should put some of those into practice. Like, Now that I'm slowly getting into like a serious relationship,
Mm-hmm.
I should I should be more aware of like the things that make me uncomfortable, like there are days where I feel like, oh, does he still like me? And I want to be able to sit down with that insecurity. It's like, what is that insecurity saying right now? Or that anxiety, rather, you know,
Mm.
uh, because uh, this is a polyamorous relationship, right? So he's got a partner, and I'm like just entering the polycule. So there are feelings of jealousy that do come up, and feelings of anxiety, like, oh, do you still like me? Are you forgetting about me? Is it too weird if I like inserted myself in this way? Like, mm,
Uh-huh. We
where do
talking
you
about
start?
sex now?
I mean, like he to be fair, he did ask if he would be open to a threesome,
Mm-hmm.
but because he's bisexual, that would mean I would be in bed with him and his partner. And I had my gut feeling was to try to skirt around a hard no, because I see the partner as a friend, right? Uh, but I was also battling this initial emotion of like, oh, what if I say no? Is he still gonna like me? Is he
Mm.
still gonna want to go out with me?
Yeah.
So
If you said if it was a no,
it is a no. It is a no.
yeah. Well, I was just gonna say if it
Yeah,
was a no, you wouldn't want to hide it because if that was a deal breaker, then you'd want to break the deal sooner than later,
that's
right?
true. Yeah, like maybe this relationship isn't what isn't right for me.
Yeah, if that's the
Uh,
thing that's going to be a deal breaker
yeah,
and it's a hard limit for you, then
yeah.
it's better to find out sooner than later.
I'd rather like end this now before it gets any closer. And I find that these kinds of emotions, they always come up whenever it comes to like dating someone new.
Mhm.
Within like the first 3 months of a relationship, it's very like difficult to figure out and stay grounded, because you're kind of seeing the world through rose-colored glasses.
Oh yeah,
You're
that
like,
they call that
oh,
new relationship energy, right?
yeah, yeah, that honeymoon phase of like, oh, everything's so nice and he's so cute and the sun is coming out of their asshole, and like
I'm not familiar
it,
with that
it
kink.
no, you've never stuck a flashlight up in there and then just
I haven't. No, I
no,
haven't. That's
uh,
now you've got the picture in my head though.
try it out sometime. You'll look like a firefly. Um, uh, so yeah, it's like anxieties and insecurities like that
Yeah.
I still have some trouble sitting with, and rather than actively engaging in it, I'll sit with it and listen to it, and then stop right there, because I thought I've already done my job as a person who was able to hold space.
Mm.
And it's like, is it really? Did I was just listening to it enough? I didn't give it what it needs, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, it's that one's a little bit of a challenge, because uh right now I think that self-regulation, or at least in my thought process, that self-regulation stops at listening to the emotion and letting it vent, and then like, what next, right? Because I don't know how to engage with it. I don't know how to actively engage and say, what do you need? How can I best lean in here and give you what you need?
Yeah.
So,
Well, so okay, let's say a distraught friend comes to you, Tim, right? A
mhm,
distraught friend knocks on your door.
mhm,
Make them tea.
mhm,
Be a good guest, right?
yeah,
Make them, make sure they feel comfortable Don't
Yeah.
keep them from leaving. Don't insist that they go quickly. That's how you be a good friend. And that's also how you be a good friend to yourself.
Yeah.
So when those
Like,
challenging emotions come up, try to make them feel welcome. Don't make them feel like they have to leave. Don't make them feel like they have to stay.
mhm. How do I best, or how can I, what am I trying to say here? Help me help you. What do you need from me? How can I be the best friend to you right now?
That's
And
exactly
then,
what you ask.
you know, yeah, how can I be the
That's
bestest
exactly it.
friend
How can I help
to
you,
you?
sadness? How can I help you, anger? What do you need from me?
Yeah. It also helps when I imagine my emotions as like those characters from Inside Out. Uh,
Sure. I like to encourage people to imagine their emotions as a puppy or a kitten or a baby because we
yeah,
naturally have an instinct of compassion, right?
we do.
We
Yeah.
might You might be cruel to yourself sometimes, but if you imagine that feeling as a kitten, it's pretty hard to be cruel to kittens, right?
Yeah. Or like a little baby, a crying baby, you know?
Yeah. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do to him if you have a crying baby in your arms? Are you going to rush it away? Are you going to give it a tissue and tell him to deal with it? Are you going to tell him, "Don't worry, we'll be happy"? No, you
Yeah.
just give him space to have that hard feeling,
No.
right?
Well,
That's
like
compassion.
because I'm an uncle and my niece is like less than a year old. So when she's crying, I instinctively talk to her and ask her what she needs, even though I don't know. I know she's not going to respond, but
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
I'm always like patting her back, like, what do you need? Do you need a bottle? Do you need to change your diaper? Um,
Yeah.
so I find that, but it's so weird because I find doing that so much easier than doing it for myself. It's we're so quick to give help rather than to accept help.
Well, if
It's
we can come back to your experience with your niece, right?
mm,
She's not going to tell you what she needs,
no,
right? But you can
mm,
become attuned to their needs. You can
yeah,
go, you know
yeah,
what?
yeah,
I think you're tired. And let's see if we can
yeah,
get you a nap. Or, you know what? I
yeah,
think you're hungry. This sounds like you're hungry.
yeah,
Or, maybe you seem a little gassy. Let me pat you on the back. And you can sense it. And in the same
mm,
way, you can also sense what you need, right? You tune into your own body. You tune into your physical self and you can get that intuition of like what is it that I need? What is it that I want? Right?
mhm, mhm, yeah. Or like, how do I be the best uncle right now?
Yeah.
How how can I best provide for this little tiny human?
And I think
uh,
the intuition
yeah,
comes in quiet moments, right? And it's not
mm,
an external quiet, it's an internal
yeah,
quiet. So even the baby's crying, right? But you have this moment of quiet in yourself and then you see. And so it's the same way
yeah,
with yourself, right? When you can be in a fit of rage, but if you can muster up some quietude in your own self and go, wow, like I think maybe I'm feeling really insecure right now. How can I help myself
mhm,
feel more
mhm.
secure?
Would you like private intimacy coaching? Perhaps you'd like to be a guest on our show. Either way, book your free 30-minute intro call with Ezra at askezra.info.
I guess a quick example was a couple days ago when he asked, "What am I doing for the weekend?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just doing this, but I'm free after. How about you?" He didn't respond until after the weekend. And the entire weekend, I was like, "Are you gonna get back to me?" Like internally. So that emotion of like, "Are you gonna get back to me? Did you I can see that you read my message." Like that anxiety, I was hearing that anxiety say um some pretty like thorough things of like, if he doesn't respond to you, that means he doesn't like you, and if he doesn't like you, it means you're not a good boyfriend. If you're not a good boyfriend, it means you're not a good person, and if you're not a good person, then it means you're worthless. And all because of being left on red, or like, you know, all these like
Mm,
questions. It was very revealing to listen to that anxiety. But like, it was at that point where, from being left on red to being feeling worthless, that I was like, I don't know how to best provide for anxiety right now. I What do I do?
yeah.
You know, just listen.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
and if you're feeling like panicked, like there's
Mm,
physical things that you can do to step out of that panic,
mm,
right?
mm,
Like you can put ice water on your face. You get that dive response, like a cold shower, and it slows your heart rate down. It slows your
mm.
breathing because your body thinks, I'm plunged into cold water. I need to slow down and not die. Right?
Um, I masturbated, so
Sure. A
uh,
little bit of serotonin.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, take your mind off it by doing other things, right? Like
yeah,
you can be anxious about it, or you can do something else,
yeah.
right?
Like, I did do that. It's just finding what that anxiety needs is the problem. It was
Hmm.
like, well, okay, maybe not a problem, but like maybe I was just like not sitting with it long enough to hear exactly what he needs. Like,
Yeah.
I I just heard what this insecurity was saying, but I guess I didn't ask the question, hey, insecurity, what do you need right now? And that's where I have a lot of trouble,
Yeah.
because I can't even say that to my friends. What do you need right now?
Mm.
What do like, I kind of just listen and nod my head.
Sure.
But in my defense, that is an improvement. Then it's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
Here's the
better than
slice of
comforting.
pizza.
Sure. Yeah.
you know,
Can
so
you talk to
that's
your
my
boyfriend
challenge.
about the way that you feel about the his texting etiquette?
Hmm. I don't know if I can. Uh, I would like to, but I'm gonna have to figure out a way to word it properly without,
Yeah.
because I don't want it to be on him. Like, I don't want him to change, because he is a busy guy.
Well, you
He
do
works in
want him to change him. Like let's honor that, right? You want him to be responding to you in a reasonable time frame.
a timely manner. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So
or not leave you expecting for him to respond to you in a timely manner.
yeah,
It's one or the other, right?
um,
He's in between.
yeah, because like there are times when he does like respond within the minute. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just that there are times when he responds like a day later or something. So maybe I can bring it up in a way that's like, hey, I actually know what, maybe you can help me with this. How do I word it properly
Yeah. Yeah, you
so that
make
I
I statements, you take responsibility for your feelings,
yeah,
right?
so
So
I
you
can say,
say,
I feel ignored.
okay, well, first
I
we wanna key into a specific behavior that you'd like to see change, right? So,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
when I don't hear from you for a couple days and we're kind of in the middle of a conversation, I feel ignored. I don't think that's
yeah.
how you want me to feel. I would do better if we can have an agreement on what is a reasonable time frame to get back.
That's all I statements, which I like. Right now, what I'm feeling is this sense of discomfort, because I feel like that's forcing a person to change. And maybe I'm misinterpreting that, but I I feel like asking a person to change is a little.
Behavioral
Mm,
modification is a healthy part of every relationship.
yeah, that's
Tim,
true.
if you were 15 minutes late for our meeting today, I would let you know that it made me feel disrespected,
Okay, yeah,
right? Because I
that's
don't
true.
want that to happen next time. It's not that I want you to feel bad,
Hmm. Hmm.
but I need you to know how it made me feel,
Mm,
right? If
okay.
you're 15 minutes late for our meeting and you don't mention it, if we're 15 minutes late for our meeting and you're like, "Oh my goodness, I forgot," or "Oh my goodness, I was stuck in traffic," whatever, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's fine. I appreciate it. Things happen, right?" But if you didn't say anything at all, I was like, "Oh, Tim, I feel really kind of disrespected because I thought we had an agreement about when we were going to meet.
Mm,
I'm
okay.
sure you didn't
Yeah,
want me to
I
feel
guess that's
disrespected."
true. I guess really there is nothing wrong with saying your saying your piece, and like in the context of timely responses. I when I get a very late response, I feel ignored and disrespected, and I think uh I would feel better if I got a response in the same day.
Yeah, I was
Does that?
wondering, how about this? I was wondering if we could have a conversation on about what we can expect text wise, right?
Mm,
Because that
mm,
now
mm.
you're not even asking for a specific behavioral change. You're asking to have a
Yeah,
conversation about behavior.
yeah.
Let's
Because like
let's get on the same
I can
page.
expect, yeah, yeah. Because then it's not so much asking a person to change, but rather I want to meet him where he is because I understand that he's busy. So I can expect that, like, okay, just because you left me on red doesn't mean you've ignored me, but rather it just means you're busy right now until you get back to me later. I understand that. So maybe a day isn't so unreasonable.
If it makes you feel bad, it is.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
uh
That's what
it
makes it
doesn't make me
reasonable or
feel
not.
dread. Yeah, but it doesn't make me feel dread. I just
Okay.
feel like,
So
oh,
let's
okay.
use the
Yeah.
specific example that you gave us, right? Hey, you asked me what we were doing this weekend, what I was doing this weekend. I told you I had a certain availability, and honestly, I got excited I might see you that time. And then when I didn't hear from you for the rest of the weekend, I felt kind of betrayed. I felt kind of abandoned. I'm sure that's not how
Mm,
you wanted me to feel. Do you think we could have a conversation about text etiquette and how we can expect each other to text?
mm,
Right.
mm,
And they
mm.
could say
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
They could say, you know what? I don't really care what you think about how I text. And then that's where you're at. Right. Or they
Yeah.
could say, that's really not how I wanted you to feel. And I can try to do better, but it's not likely to happen. Or they can say, that's really not how I wanted you to feel. And I promise you I'll do differently.
Mm, mm,
Right.
mm.
But if you're not having the conversation, then they're hurting. They're leaving you feeling hurt with their behavior and you're not bringing it up. So you're really betraying the relationship.
Because you're being dishonest and you're withholding truths. That's how you betray a relationship.
That's right.
Mm,
Yeah. So because you're sacrificing honesty for comfort,
mm,
right? I
yeah.
mean, like we talked about the example before was if I if I hate close talkers and you're a close talker and you keep talking to me close, I'm either never going to say anything and just avoid you forever, or I'm going to say something because I value our relationship and I want it to continue.
Mm.
So if you value that relationship enough to be in that discomfort, then do it. But if you want to
So I
treat
can
the
be like,
relationship like it's disposable, then don't ever bring up any
yeah.
boundaries.
So I can be like, I really like dating you and I value this. So I feel like I can be honest with you about my emotions. So I feel like I can tell you that not seeing you on the weekend when I thought I was going to see you on the weekend it made me feel bad. It made me feel sad. So I was hoping if we can talk about our expectations on how promptly we should communicate. Yeah, I think that's doable.
It is. It is. It's
Yeah.
totally doable, and
It's
you want to
hard, but it's doable.
give that person the benefit of the doubt, right? So
Yeah.
there is a chance that they were like, "Fuck Tim, this is going to drive him crazy." It's a very small chance, right? But thinking that
Yeah.
isn't helpful,
Yeah.
right? And it's better to think, "Boy, they don't understand how their actions made me feel, and I bet they want to
Mm,
know."
yeah.
Right. And if they
Uh,
don't
uh
know, if they don't want to know, or if they did make you feel bad on purpose, then it would probably be better to find that out sooner than later anyway.
they he did say sorry. So he did realize that, you know, not responding over the weekend was his fault.
Sure,
That's
sure.
nice.
It is
Yeah.
nice, and it shows that he's not a monster, and he probably didn't do it to make you feel bad. But I think he
Yeah.
also doesn't appreciate how sensitive you are.
Because I haven't made it known how sensitive I am.
Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
you're over here having a 10 out of 10 anxiety experience, and he thought he was 2 out of 10 rude.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And so he's just missing the whole thing.
Yeah. It's also another source of discomfort where I feel like, uh, am I placing the responsibility of regulating my emotions on his texting promptness? Right. You know?
Yeah. Well, it's a bridge being built from both ends. So you can
Yeah.
build it.
Yeah.
You can build your emotional resilience as well as your communication skills to avoid those triggers.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're never
All
going to
right.
be able
Well,
to be in a world where no one's ever going to trigger you.
yeah. Can you imagine?
It'd be terrible.
It's
A white
so
room
boring.
with nothing in it.
God. No triggers
And then you get
whatsoever.
triggered by whiteness.
Nope. No, thank you. It drive me insane. Yeah, okay. No, that's very doable. It's hard, but it's doable to make your insecurities known. And I think we oftentimes forget that relationships are a two-way street. We need to meet each other halfway, and I, I'm going all the way, you know, rather than waiting for him to come meet me halfway. But I haven't even told him where I want him to meet me. So
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. So you're not giving him the benefit of collaborating with you.
yeah, that's right. Um, okay, so that is something that I do need to work on, where I have to be a little more honest, not only to myself but to him and to other people. Uh, yeah, that's
Do you want to practice again, Tim?
okay. Let's try it. So,
Okay, hold
uh,
on. First, I'm going to be you. Well, let's just do the texting thing. We'll do the texting thing.
okay.
Can we don't want to use a name, do we?
Let's use your name. Let's use
Mine
your name.
Ezra.
Yeah.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
be Ezra for a minute,
Okay.
and I'll be Tim, and
Sure.
I'll say, "Hey, Ezra.
Hey, Tim. How are you?
I'm great. I wanted to talk to you about this weekend. It seems like not a huge deal, but not hearing from you, texting back this whole weekend, it kind of left me feeling jilted. It kind of left me feeling abandoned. I kind of got excited about maybe seeing you in my little window of time in the weekend. And I never heard from you. And I just kind of felt like I was waiting on you all weekend. That's not how you want to make me feel, was it?
No, no, I didn't want to make you feel that way. It just, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I forgot.
Well,
I just, is it?
yeah, no, I get it. I didn't think you wanted to make me feel that way, and I know I'm sensitive, but maybe we can come to an agreement about how rapidly you do or do not get back to me.
Okay. I can do that.
Do you think
Thank you
maybe
for
we could
telling
have
me.
like a 24-hour rule?
Yeah, that's possible. We can definitely do that.
Sure. And if you can't continue texting me within 24 hours, then like maybe just in that 24 hours, you can let me know that you're done texting me and I'll know to move on with my weekend.
Okay, I can do that. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for letting
you.
me know.
I really appreciate your willingness to hear me.
Oh, I appreciate you for letting me have this difficult conversation with you.
You better, because it was fucking pulling nails for me.
Jeez. Yeah, no, those kinds of conversations are so goddamn difficult. They never get easy at all. Jesus.
That's not the
Oh my
phrase,
God.
is it? Pulling nails? What is the
Pulling teeth?
pulling teeth? Jesus,
Is it
that is,
pulling teeth?
yeah,
Yeah.
that is the phrase. Pulling teeth.
Yeah. See.
Pulling
So,
nails. I was like,
I mean, pulling
no,
that too.
don't even go
Uh,
there. I was thinking
no.
carpentry. I was like, is
Oh
pulling
no.
nails that bad? It's not that bad. Okay.
It's pulling teeth.
Uh,
Okay, yeah.
words are hard.
So, I know, right? I'm taking mental notes. So you were using a lot of I statements. You were not placing a sort of burden, but rather you're offering an alternative or an option, a route of uh of compromise. You're offering some sort of way or some sort of suggestion as to how to move on from this insecurity,
Yeah.
this kind of bump
Yeah.
in the road.
I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't focused on blame. Like blame doesn't
Mm-hmm.
help anybody, right? I was focused on solutions, and I gave my partner, my negotiating partner, the benefit of the doubt at every opportunity I could,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I
Yeah.
asked, I didn't make demands. I asked, I said, "Do you think that we could maybe do this?"
Mm, yeah. Yeah. That totally makes sense. I'll bring it up when we're together because his birthday's next week. So
Cool. Do you want to swap
yeah,
places now? You ready?
I can try. All
I
right.
get to be Ezra again.
Yeah. All right. So, hey Ezra, how are you?
Hi, Tim. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I just need to tell you something. So you know how you asked me what I was doing this weekend?
Sure.
Um, I and then I told you that I was free after 2 o'clock on Sunday. I kind of thought that you wanted to hang out, and then not hearing from you kind of made me feel like abandoned, I guess. And I I, I was hoping that like we can talk about um how how to how to respond to each other because I really was looking forward to seeing you.
Oh, well, I'm
And
sorry to leave you let down. Honestly, I thought I texted you.
no, I didn't hear back. So, um, do you think that we can like maybe talk about, maybe some sort of 24-hour rule? Is it like some sort of uh time frame as to when I can expect to hear back?
Sure, yeah, I guess. What do you think that would look like?
Um, I guess if we're talking about like seeing each other on the weekend, I'd love to hear from you, like, I guess within the next 2 hours because you did ask to see me over the weekend, right?
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear back. Is that okay? 2 hours maybe from
I'm not sure I could
getting.
commit to a 2 hour. So every time I text you and you text me back, I have to text you again in 2 hours. Is that what you're saying?
If we're making plans.
For making plans. Okay. Sure, I suppose I could do that. And if it's just for making plans, I can't say I can do it every single time, but specific to making plans. I don't want to leave you waiting. I know you're a
Yeah, because
popular guy.
I just felt like uh, I was I was left hanging, you know?
Yeah.
Like I just I really wanted to see you. And you don't have to text me back like, hello, hi, within 2 hours, it's fine. But like if we're gonna make plans, I'd love to hear within like the next couple hours so that I can get ready because I don't live close. I do have to travel.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. I just
Okay.
wanted to.
Well, hey, thank you for talking to me, Tim. I appreciate it. I don't want to leave you feeling abandoned. That's certainly not what I want.
Oh, well, thank you for listening. I feel a lot better now.
Good. And scene.
That was so hard.
Well, and
I
you
do
could
need to
practice it.
work on my tone. Yeah,
Yeah. I
I
mean, I should also say that, hey, I have something to talk to you about. Never makes anything easier.
no. I wish there was some way
Just say it.
to
Just
you
fucking
know
say it.
you know
Just, yeah.
just,
You're already
just
talking. Just
spit it
say it.
out. Just spit it out.
Just
Just
spit
spit
it
it
out.
out.
Yeah.
Right?
Use that breath to talk about what you want to talk about. The only time that you need to say like, "Hey, I have something I need to talk to you about," is if you're not in a place to talk about things, right?
Mhm.
Like if you need privacy and you don't have privacy, you can request privacy,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
If you don't have his full attention, undivided attention, and you need his undivided attention, you can say, "Hey, can I get your undivided attention? I have something I need to talk to you about." But if we're
Mm,
already talking and you already have my undivided attention and privacy, then what's the advantage of saying that? Just to stress me out?
yeah.
Hey, I want you to be stressed out about what we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
I teach mind fucking, right, Tim?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But
one of the
you're
mind fucks is, hey, I need to talk to you about something when you get home.
yeah.
That's
But
a mind fuck.
that's
That's
like
manipulative.
yeah. But that's also like but the thing with your mind fuck and this kind of mind fuck that I'm placing on myself is that yours is consensual.
Yeah, you're just doing it
I'm
by accident. Yeah.
I'm just being an asshole to myself without my consent. So yeah, that kind of conversation does not get any easier. I do have to work on that because I still fight my inherent sense of worthlessness. So that's why I don't believe I'm worthy of having those
Mm-hmm.
kinds of conversations, those
Yeah.
kinds of like fighting for a relationship
Yeah. You don't
that I
feel
can
like you're
picture for
worth
people.
accommodating.
Yeah, exactly. I don't
Yeah.
feel like I'm worthy of a a prompt response
I want to give
on my
you
schedule.
I
Yeah,
want to give you a homework assignment, Tim.
sure.
I want you to practice this conversation before you have it. I want you to practice it. And I want you to imagine it going really well,
Hmm.
right? Anytime that you start imagining it going poorly, I want you to imagine turning it around.
Okay.
So the tendency is to do like doom and gloom thinking, where you go like, I'm going to bring it up and he's going to say, fuck you, don't talk to me, right? So, but
Catastrophe.
yeah, I want you to success think. I want you to
Mm,
imagine it going well. I want you to imagine it going perfectly. What is it?
mm,
And if you find that you're not finding the words to make it go perfectly, then come up with those words,
mm,
right? I
mm,
don't like maybe it's make a voice memo, maybe it's write it down, maybe it's I don't know what you need to do. You can make a video of yourself doing it and then sort of see how it's going, right? Like
mm,
whatever
mm,
you need to do to like build those words so that you are ready to have that
mm,
conversation,
mm.
right?
And you know what? Yeah, that's fair because he did say that he is very much into approaching things through the scientific method, which is like you try something out, and if it doesn't work, you try a different thing. And he is the kind of guy to just up and leave if something doesn't work the first time. So
He's
maybe
not
I
likely
didn't
yeah,
give
he's not
him,
like this is a tiny thing. He's not likely to
yeah,
abandon you just cuz you're
yeah,
wanting to stick up for yourself.
yeah. And I kind of feel bad for not giving him the benefit of the doubt, or like the chance to for him to like say his piece, and kind of just like I waited for an apology.
Yeah, but he doesn't even know he hurt your feelings.
That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, and
Yeah.
if he knows he hurt your feelings, I don't think he understands the depth of it.
Oh, I'm such a sensitive little princess.
You are, said the little princess.
That's why I need a king. I need a knight in shining armor.
Or just a tutu.
That's true. I did order one, and it's on its way here.
Fantastic! So, you got a tutu on its way.
I did. Yeah, I got my heels and everything too.
Oh,
yeah, they're nice and sparkly.
There you go, sparkly heels.
The tiara is coming soon too.
Lovely. I like it. I mean, you missed Halloween. It just finished. So,
I mean, who says this is for Halloween?
I love it.
Thanks for watching the Ask Ezra Intimacy Coaching Podcast. Support our show at patreon.com/AskEzra. Join us at the personal growth tier and receive a special thank you on the next podcast episode. A very special thank you to both Sarah Nash and Deb Matson for being Patreon supporters at the personal growth tier and helping make the Ask Ezra Intimacy Coaching Podcast possible.